What's going on, guys? Brandon again, and today I'm bringing you a brand new Ace Day video over Günther Rall. He's the third top scoring ace of all time with 275 total victories. Now, before I got into aviation, when I was about 5 years old, I had a terrible cold, and my dad wanted to do something to get my mind off of it, so he went ahead and painted my ceiling like a sky, and he hung P-51s and Bf-109s from it. My parents also went ahead and got me two paintings. One was called The High Tides of Summer, and the other one was called Decay Autos. Both were signed by Günther Rall. Now, at the time, I was only maybe about 5 years old, and I didn't really know how to appreciate all this. I didn't know how to appreciate the planes, and I didn't know how to appreciate the paintings. Let alone, I didn't really know who Günther Rall was. So now that I'm older and I have a respect for aviation and I love it, I still have these paintings hanging on my wall to this day, and Günther Rall has got to be one of my favorite aces of all time. Now, Günther Rall was born on March 10th, 1918 in Gaggenau, and I might have pronounced that wrong, so sorry if I did. But Günther Rall's father was in World War I, so it would only seem natural that when World War II rolls around, that Günther would like to serve like his father did. Günther's family and him moved to Stuttgart when he was 3 years old, and as he grew up, he started to heavily focus on his education. After passing his entrance exams and completing a year of labor service, he ended up joining the Wehrmacht. Now, the funny thing about Günther is that when he ended up joining, he originally went in as an infantryman, and it wasn't until 1938 that he transferred to the Luftwaffe. He joined after hearing stories from an old friend about flying. Rall did exceptionally well throughout pilot training and was selected to fly single-seat fighters. He then joined his fighter group JG-52. By May 1940, he saw his first aerial victory. Now, it is unconfirmed if this is his first or second aerial victory, but he shot down a French Curtiss Hawk on May 18th. After France surrendered, he moved on to the Battle of Britain, where JG-52 would run escorts for Junker Ju-87s, and Rall stated in an interview that escorting the Stukas was incredibly difficult because the 109s would have to fly slow and low, while the British would get the height advantage. He said men were dropping left and right, and he lost many friends, just within a couple of weeks. Though beaten down by the British, Rall said that he had the greatest respect for the British pilots. They were aggressive and outstanding pilots. JG-52 would end up moving to the Eastern Front, and this is where Günther Rall became known for his aerial victories, facing off against the Soviet Union. He would also take part in the invasion of the Soviet Union known as Operation Barbarossa. His first Soviet air victories came from a group of unescorted DB-3s, Russian bombers, and I can only imagine the fear that those bombers had when being unescorted, and Günther ended up shooting several down. Over the next few days, after shooting down more DB-3s, his squadron tallied 50 victories. In November 1941, Rall was flying on a mission when he engaged a Soviet aircraft and scored his 36th aerial victory, but in the process was shot up and on a dead engine coasted back to German lines. When his 109 hit, the impact was so violent it knocked him out and broke his back in 3 places. Luckily, he crashed near a group of German tankers who quickly rushed over and rescued him from the crash, taking him to a hospital in Vienna. He was told he would never walk again, but through hard work and dedication he returned to flying duty on August 1942. In this Vienna hospital, Rall would meet his future wife. However, his wife has a story of her own, and maybe I'll do another video over that, but she was funneling Jewish people to safety. But this also got the attention of the Gestapo, and they were keeping a close eye on them. On September 3rd, Rall was decorated with the Knight's Cross of the Iron Cross for his 65th aerial victory. The following month, Rall obtained his Oak Leaves when he scored his 100th victory. And this was presented to him by Adolf Hitler, and I don't think Günther was too partial to Hitler, because he said after meeting Hitler, his illusions of Nazi Germany were shattered. Rall took command of the 3rd Fighter Wing, and in 1943 was promoted to Hauptmann, and I might have pronounced that wrong, so sorry if I did. When April 20th rolled around, Rall scored the 5,000th victory for JG-52. On April 29th, he scored his 200th aerial victory. Again, Hitler awarded him, and he obtained his swords to go with his Oak Leaves. Throughout the month of October, Rall scored 40 aerial victories. I mean, this guy was a machine. I couldn't imagine shooting down that many planes in a short amount of time. But later on, Rall would be shot down 7 more times by Soviet pilots, but get back on his feet and continue fighting. By November, Rall was credited with 250 kills and achieved the rank of Major. In April 1944, Rall was called to defend the Reich against the American bombers. He scored his first victory against a P-38, and on May 12th, Rall's luck turned when he led an attack against a large formation of B-17s. When Rall engaged, a group of P-47s turned onto him, forcing him into a dogfight. Depending on the source, Rall said he shot down 2 P-47s and was shot down himself. While in the process of bailing, his thumb was taken off by a round. He spent many months in the hospital because of this injury, fighting off infections. After recovering, Rall became an instructor, which he considered himself lucky because of all the men that were being shot down left and right. He was also able to fly a captured P-51 Mustang. He considered it a worthy adversary and was impressed. He said that the P-51 was the biggest threat, followed by the Spitfire, then the LA-7. Nearing the war's end, Rall returned to the front and told his men to stay alive rather than follow senseless orders. Rall, at the end of the war, was captured and interrogated by the British and the Americans. But after all was said and done, after the war, he started a small woodcutting business, but something caught his eye in 1955. The West German Parliament set up the new armed forces for Germany. Rall considered this a wonderful opportunity to restore the German military. Rall, given his rank of major again, trained on the F-84 Thunderjet, also introducing the F-104 Starfighter. By 1971, Rall commanded the West German Air Force until moving to Brussels in 1974 to be the German representative to NATO. After being dismissed from a controversial sanctioned visit to South Africa, Rall spent his retirement traveling around and going to and seeing historical events and places. In October 2009, Günther Rall died of a sudden heart attack. In the end, his official victory number was 275 in 621 operational sorties. This makes him the third top scoring ace of all time. Now, the reason why Günther Rall is one of my favorite aces, and I'm sure other aces are like this, but he's such a laid-back person. He tells his stories, but it doesn't seem like he's full of himself. He never got a buzz out of shooting people down. It was just a job. It was everybody's job to go out there and try to defend their country. And he said a lot of times whenever he was dogfighting the Russians, he would really get up close and personal and he'd really see their faces. Because when you're down low a lot, he said that the Russian battles mainly took place at lower altitudes and the Russians wouldn't have oxygen masks, so he would really see their faces when they went into a turn with them. And he just thought to himself, in a few minutes that guy's either going to be dead or shot down or bailing out. But in all, guys, I think that pretty much sums up this video. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns for me, then please leave them down in the comments below and I will get back to you as soon as possible. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. My name's Brandon, and as always, have a nice day.